Hello and welcome to the Simply Free Little Talk. Today in on our story of truth of the matter, true story today. And we have in studio the author, Veronica L. Williams, who's going to share an amazing testimony. She's going to actually reveal her journey. We're going to give you a little bit of understanding about her book that she's written that I think that you see going across the screen. And it's entitled Out of the Ditch in 30. And she's going to explain exactly what the title means. And then each chapter, we'll kind of give you a little insight about each chapter. But without further ado, let's bring on this amazing author, this lady who has bared her soul for us and to us. And I want you to enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. All right, there she is, author Veronica L. Williams. Welcome to the Simply Free Little Talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It is my pleasure to have you here because you are absolutely amazing. I want to let the audience know I met you at our mutual friend's graduation celebration.
Mhm.
Avery Ayers, who will be one of the judges in Houston very, very soon. That's
Yes,
our confession, and we sticking to it.
that's right. That's right. Go Avery.
Yes, go Avery all the way. So here's what I want the audience to know. You came and sat at the table that I was sitting at with my friend. And it was just so amazing because I got to see the beautiful spirit that you had. And we just started engaging. And right in the middle of our introduction, you literally said, hold on, I have something for you. Can you pick up where I left off and share with them what was it that you left the table to go and retrieve?
Well, our talk had transitioned to a point of my heart started reaching out towards you, even though we had just met. And I had written this book and I had a couple of copies in the car. And I wanted to go out and get you a copy, just gift you with a copy because, your spirit had just reached out to me. And I went out to get the book. And you had no idea, but I went out to get
No
it
idea.
and brought it back to you. And then, you said, you got to sign it, so we went through that. But it was just an amazing experience. It's something that's not hard to explain because when you know the Lord, then you understand these types of
Yes.
things. But it was just an awesome experience. I had no idea that just visiting that, graduation party was going to bring me such. I met a lot of beautiful people
Yes.
that day.
We both did. We both did. We both did. And I'm so glad that we did, that we had the opportunity to know one another and get to know one another. And we have developed a beautiful rapport. I just love Miss Veronica. Everything that I felt that evening, I see it in every conversation and even tonight. So again, I thank you. I'm the blessed one in this situation. Thank you, Sister Tanya, for inviting individuals. I wanted to say, please, everyone, like and share. I want everyone that's tuning in to know that this amazing author has a powerful testimony of in out of the ditch in 30. Kind of give us the insight. What does that mean, out of the ditch in 30?
Well, it talks about my life. It's not a memoir by any stretch of the imagination, but it talks about my first 30 years in the recovery process because I am a recovering
Yes.
person in long term recovery. And I wrote it during my 30th year. I'd always wanted to be an author. I've always wanted to write. I've written poems that were published and things like that. I even referenced one in the book. But I finally got the courage after retirement to just sit down and write. And it took me a year to write it. It was
Hmm.
ups and downs, and sometimes I had to stop when painful areas were hit, but I was able to get
Yeah.
through it all because I want people to know that no matter what they're hurting from,
Wow. Come on.
that with God's help and with a little
Mhm.
tenacity on their part, that they can live through
Mm.
it and excel through it.
Yes. And you are an excellent example of that. I just want to get
Okay.
right into the book. Let me show it again for those who are just tuning in. And again, I want to encourage you to like, share, and invite someone who has possibly had a struggle of addiction or know a family member. And I encourage you to purchase the book. She's going to share with you in detail how you can purchase the book, and that the book has a purpose beyond just sharing her journey to recovery or the
Mhm.
process that she took. It actually is a part of a fundraiser to help sponsor, because she has two organizations, and I want to take the time now to say what they are. It's
Mhm.
L. Frederick's Return, which is a nonprofit 501c3, which also has under its blanket, its umbrella, the In the Company of My Sisters. And she's going to go into great detail with you guys about what that's all about and the good work that God has her doing. So, again, let me say this: her delivery has great purpose. Yes. So, out of the ditch in 30. Come on, share
Yes.
with us. Share with us. What was that title? How did that title get, was it the inspiration for you?
Well, one of the things that inspired me was when I was coming up, I had a friend that lived a couple of streets over, and there's a ditch in front of our home in that area where I grew up at. And he would come over. He was a couple of years younger than me, but he would come over, and we would sit in that ditch in the front yard, and we would dream about all the things that we aspired to go through and everything. So the out of the ditch kind of came from that memory. But talking about out of the ditch a little more thoroughly, we had to just talk about some of the trials and tribulations that went along with that, from
Yeah,
graduating from high school and then moving on through my adult life and through motherhood and things like that. So
yeah.
it kind of came out of a fond memory, and it took me to a place where I had to talk about some things that I wasn't so fond of. But then it brought me to a place of liberation where I said, I
Come
just got to
on.
share this with everybody so that people will know, that, hey, it sounds like a cliche, but if I could do it, you can do it too.
That's right. That's right. But you put your cliche to application and
Yes.
manifestation. So come on there. It's not a cliche.
All right. All right. I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Let me
Thank
pause
you for
and
that.
say, you're so welcome. I am very proud of you, because if anyone, and I pray that you do take the time and purchase this amazing book, not just as a fundraiser, but really thoroughly read it. Take the time to go through each chapter. So, what I want to do at this point is kind of, let's touch on it. But I want to
Okay.
back up to the forward. Your son, oh my God, he really honored you. He really honored you. He was very transparent, as well as his mother, and he spoke
Hmm.
of your addiction. But what I liked is he said you took care of two boys, and they wanted for nothing.
Wow.
Now that's incredible within itself,
Exactly.
because you were the mother that may had your struggles. He talks about the relapse in here, but overall, he gives you so much honor and respect for what he watched you go through, your 12-hour work shifts, but your dedication to he and his brother.
Mm.
I love that. I just it is a testament to the goodness, and he speaks about the religious, well, not religion, but relationship with God that the family has overall. So
Hmm.
that right there speaks volumes to you as a person, and definitely as a mother. So I salute you today. I really do.
Thank
You're so
you.
welcome.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. The first chapter,
Okay.
brief sketch of the ditch.
I talked a little bit about in that first chapter following the introduction. I talked a little bit about a period of time in my life when I was getting married for the first time at 30 years old, already a mom, unwed mother of two children, and finally getting married and the things that led up to that, and then getting into an addiction with the spouse that I had at the time. And the all the things that went along with that.
Mhm.
The way I felt about myself. Not blaming anyone, but just knowing that I went into those things eyes wide open. But
Wow.
then I was so blessed to be able. I had been working in chemical plant since 1977 as an operator.
Mm.
And when that addiction grabbed hold of me in 1985, I had been there quite a while. And to be able to maintain that job and work 12-hour shifts and still be able to take care of a mortgage and feed my family, and them not wanting for anything, as my son said, you know it was just a blessing. And it was a miracle for God to think that much of me to carry me
Come
through that,
on.
because I talk about being adopted in the first part of the
Mhm.
book also.
Yes.
That I was adopted, I was born, and I was abandoned in the hospital, and I was taken to the Pelchin Faith Home, they called it back then, and then sent out, of course, to a black neighborhood, to a foster home, and I was adopted at 6 months old. And the feelings and the emotions that I went through as a child, knowing that I don't know any of my
Uh,
real family, it took a toll on my self esteem also. Never feeling good enough, always thinking, I was so needy that I just needed to attach myself to someone. And I think you'll enjoy that first chapter because it gets
Absolutely.
real in depth about what happened,
Yes.
and all the things that went in to make me the person that I am today, even though it got rough, but it was still a good time for me to bare my soul to the reader and let them know you might not match up with exactly what I went through.
Okay.
But the bottom line is we've all been through something. If you can just sit back and relax and just take it all in, then you may find hope for yourself in there. That's the object of the book, to bring hope.
I totally concur. And the thing that really stands out for me as a reader of your book or someone who understands your story, it's actually relatable to so many people on so many levels. They just are not in your position that God called you to be so transparent and to bear your soul so publicly so that you're really blessing someone else to decide, well, I need to go ahead and take care this what I'm harboring and release it as she did. And it could be the outlet is actually writing as you did. So again,
Mhm.
I commend you for that. Chapter 2. Free at last but still in the ditch.
Well, in chapter 2, I talk about, uh, I think, years of sobriety 1 through 15.
Yes, you do.
And at that point, I realized that there was more to it than just the drugs or
Come on.
alcohol or other mood altering substances. I had to go back, and not just in my recovery work, but I had to go back in my life and see, where were the things that made me think that I wasn't as valuable as God
Ah,
deemed me to be, because he don't make junk.
ah,
So I
say
needed,
that.
those were that 15 years, that first 15 years, that's what I talk about. And the things that happened to me during those 15 years, and the wonderful process of, just recovering to discover, to excelling to the person that I am today. And it took those first 15 years to do that.
Wow. Evolving into who we truly are. It is a
Yes,
journey,
ma'am.
it's a process. And you're a beautiful example that we all can win if we just choose to allow God to take us through the process. So,
Exactly.
chapter 3, moving against the grain while in the ditch.
Well, I realized that, salmon swim upstream.
Come on, come on.
Everybody else is going this way, but the salmon is going that way. So when you've had your time at, being a dropout from society, so to speak, and then
Mm,
you come back and society not only has changed, but you realize it never was what you thought
wow.
it was in the first place. And then you discover I've got to find my own journey if I am to, continue to live, not just survive. So that 16th year through 30th year is what I talk about in that. that chapter that you're
Mm,
referring to now. So here I
yes,
am, I'm clean and sober. I no longer have a fear of using drugs or
that's
alcohol,
right.
but I can still see some type of things that need to be changed
Yeah.
about me that would still make
Ah,
my life better. It's such a learning experience. It's such a, my father said to me one time, he learned something new every day. And he was in his 80s when he told me that. And my parents were so full of wisdom. I talk about it in the
yes, you
acknowledgments
do.
in the book and all the beautiful things that they gave me as my parents, and so I have committed myself to be a better person every day that I
Yeah,
have, because we only have one day at a time anyway.
that is so true. Everything that you said is it's spoken so eloquently. You explain it with so much passion. But I love the vow that you made, and we're going to get to the vow that you made to help others. But let's get to this last chapter, the
Okay.
responsibility of living outside of the ditch. Now, that was one I just enjoyed. That's your spiritual maturity.
Exactly. Once you have realized, hey, I'm not in the ditch anymore, then you have to tap into, your maturity. For me, I'm gonna be maturing the rest of my life. I've learned
Mhm.
I had to mature in my 40s, my 50s. Now I'm in my 60s, running fast and hard toward the 70s. So
Fast and
there's
hard.
another level of maturity in
Yeah.
each one of those phases of my life. And to be able to continue to grow and mature is, the things that I talk, or the things that
Mhm.
I talk about in that chapter of the book. Some of the, things that I had to realize about myself, that, doing inventories and say, okay, this
Come on.
I can take this in to this year, next year,
Yes.
this can't go.
Come on.
Making decisions for myself on a regular basis. And it's all free. It's all about creating balance. The human experience is all about balance. But like my dad used to say, as soon as the washing machine gets fixed, the dryer breaks down. So, you know, uh, he had so many great analogies. But,
Yeah.
and my mom used to say, cards on the table, and being able to live in a society now where you have to be really, really careful about how you say
Definitely.
things, and everybody's just, kind of on edge all the time. Not because they want to be, but just because that's the
Mhm.
times that we live in. Being able to navigate through that, because there's still some swimming upstream that's going on with that. But it's to be expected. It's nothing that can't be handled. It's nothing that can't be handled, because God is with me every step of the way. And just being able to mature and grow, even though my hair is gray, I can admit I don't know it all,
I
and
love
it's
that.
kind of fun. It's a lot of fun. I have a good time in my life today.
Oh my goodness, that is so amazing. I want you to take the time to state both of your sons' names and then just kind of share a little bit about both of them.
Okay, my first son is Titus L. Williams, and he is my firstborn, and he's just a wonderful person. He has his own business. He's
Yeah.
always been an entrepreneur. He never grew up in the world of clocking in and things like that, and I've always admired him for that, because I was like, "How do you do that?"
Yeah.
And he's been my biggest tutorer, teacher, and fan since I've retired and come into this business. But his brother, Al Frederick,
Yes.
he was my youngest. They were like 4 years apart. And,
Oh,
raising them was just a lot of fun, because I didn't have brothers and sisters. So I learned about the sibling experience from them. And I was like,
no.
if they had a little issue, I said,
Yes.
oh, they're never going to speak to each other again. And, I watched my children to know what it must be like to
Yeah.
have a brother or a sister.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So they were examples to me with growing up. And we lost Al Frederick in 2005, and I talk about it in the book.
You do. September.
And he's, yeah, September 19th. And what a wonderful person this guy was. And he left us at 25, but I had to realize that what he was here to complete had been completed.
Come on.
And so here I am. If I'm still here, it must be something I need to complete. So my kids have always been motivations to drive me, because when I did have a relapse. My son Titus talks about it
Mm-hmm.
in the foreword that he wrote for me. And it was Al Frederick that sat on the couch with me and told me, "Mom, I know you can do it." At
Yeah.
8 years old, this kid encouraged me, and had faith in me. So, I'll always remember him for that and love him
Mhm.
for that.
And that's amazing because you're honoring him today. Would you like to share with the audience what are you doing for Al Frederick's return? What is that?
Okay. Well, actually, the last 5 years of my employment, I worked for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, and I was the supervisor of what they call gang renouncement.
Mhm.
And it was my job to run a department with my case managers that if these guys were in gangs in prison, they are in single cells, they're segregated, and they do long sentences. So if they wanted to get out of the gang, they had to write to the security, and they had to go anywhere from maybe a year to 2 years of scrutiny from security to say that they were
Absolutely.
able to come to my program. And that was one of Al Frederick's dreams. I talk about that in the book too,
Mhm.
where when we had a talk about what he thought God wanted him to do,
Ah,
what he was able to tell me. So when I retired, I said, well, I can start my own gang renouncement consulting business, and I could teach lockups how to start their own businesses in that arena if they choose to. I can train their staff and present them with different, modes and methods of doing that. Because my goal is not to duplicate what I did
yes.
for TDCJ, but everywhere you go, it's different. I mean, having been in recovery programs and been all over the world with that, I got to see that, they don't do meetings the same way in London that we do here in Houston.
Mhm.
So I wanted to make them unique and design them specifically to their population. So after Al Frederick's return was born, I couldn't think of what to name it. I literally sat down at a dinner table one day and saying, Lord, I need a name for this program. I need it right now so I can get on with the business that you've been, preparing me for. And he just gently spoke to me and said, this is not about you, sweetheart.
Mm.
Remember that conversation you had with your son? And I'm honored to be allowed to further his dream and to make it into something that the world will recognize.
And we are. And we are. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Now, under the blanket of how you've honored your son, let's hear more about In the Company of My Sisters.
Okay. In the company of my sisters is also because I'm a licensed chemical dependency counselor in the state of Texas. I changed that career, I think back in 2002, because I could no longer perform the work and I started having, problems with my body. So I came out and I went to school for that.
Ah,
And my first job was with women up in the hill country.
yes.
And I loved working with women. I've always wanted to work with women. I had done a lot of work with women in recovery process. So when I retired, I wanted to have a mentoring program for women. And I was running around telling everybody, I want to do mentoring, I want to do mentoring. And everybody's like, they're not doing mentoring anymore. They're doing coaching and this and that. But God had put mentoring on my heart. And it was such a beautiful thing. The first chaplain that I finally caught up with that was at a women's unit, which is in Marlin. Her name is Nettie Holland Moore. She's a wonderful lady. And the first time we played phone tag for a couple of months, and the first thing out of her mouth when I finally got to talk to her was, I don't need any more church services. I have plenty of those. I need mentoring. And that was like, oh God, thank you, because nobody was agreeing with me. But it wasn't because someone was wrong with what I was saying. It was just
Absolutely.
that God had sketched that out for me to do. And he made it, even down to the right word. So we've
Ah,
been doing that. September will be 4 years we've been doing that up in Marlin, Texas. We have the William P. Hobby Unit, and we also have the Marlin unit, which is pre-release unit now. They're both in Marlin, Texas. And the ladies that are coming to Houston area, Harris County, we actually help them when they first get out. They could do a year or more with us, with us, supporting them, helping them fulfill, because we do everything we can for them before they get out so they can set themselves up for success. But we also have lessons that we teach them, that we help them realize that, you can't come back here in a fantasy world because you've been gone 5, 10,
Mm-hmm.
15 years. I got a couple of ladies in my program been gone 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't really know how to use a cell phone or things like that. And to catch that population, to try to fill in those cracks in the
Mm-hmm.
cement that they might get swallowed up by, is what we're all about. Me and my team are all
Definitely.
about that. And we love it. We have a good time when we go up there. We just have fun going. We
Mhm.
have fun coming back. We have our little pit stops we make because nobody's under 65. So, we
I
just,
love it.
it's so blessed. I'm so blessed to have some, two of the most beautiful women that work with me.
Mhm.
And we've been friends for a long time, but they have a heart for it. And this kind of work, you pretty much have to have a heart for. And so
Definitely.
I'm just glad, that in the company of my sisters has taken off the way it has.
Yes, I'm very proud of the work that you ladies are doing. So please speak their names. We want to hear the ladies' names that work
Oh,
with you. We want to give them their props as well for honoring your vision.
yes, Miss Deborah Rochelle, a
Hey,
very long time friend of mine.
yeah.
Her and her husband Robert were like big mentors of mine in early recovery and on through my life until he passed away. And also Anita Eden. She's
Oh, yes,
another
Anita.
great friend of mine that, she has such a heart for it. Anita recently retired. She retired from the workforce. So she has a lot of things she brings to the table. Deborah, on the other hand, has been working for the Star of Hope for years and years. So they bring a lot to the table, to the organization, and together we just have a ball.
Yes, you guys are blessing, restoring, repairing, and equipping. And that's what I
Yes,
admire about what you're doing in the company
thank you.
of my sisters. If all of us would just make a decision, because that's all it is, it's just a decision that say, you know what, I want to pour into my sister. I may not know not one of those ladies that you guys are mentoring. And you mentioned someone 20 years. All I could do was this because they're in a whole different world, they're in a whole
Yeah,
different mindset.
yeah,
They need what you're providing. They need the
yes,
love you guide, the guidance. And also, I love the dignity that you bring back into the lives of these ladies. So God
yes.
bless you. God bless
They
you.
write us. They tell us. They could encourage us. I mean, during Corona was a tough time because we couldn't go see them, and they were writing and sending us scriptures, and we've been to one of their baptism services. I mean, it's just been an awesome ride. God has just blessed us, not just to have a heart for the work, but to be able to enjoy it. And
I just
so,
want to
you
hold the
know,
book up.
oh, the book is the
Yeah,
fundraiser for that,
put it.
and all of the money goes toward them because we need gas and we need other things that support them. And when they get home, we just take them in our arms and see what it is that they need and get them where they need to go before they're able to have money and resources. So
Yeah.
we kind of we accept donations
Yes,
because of that.
y'all hear that? They accept donations, but share with them when they actually purchase the book. Tell them the price for this book and where does the funding, how do you guys distribute the funding? What do you guys get to do? What have you guys done in the past? I want them to know the good things that you guys have done as a result of this book as a fundraiser.
Well, some of the things that we have done is that we've been able to give before pre-corona. We were able to give conferences where churches could come in and find out. I was really amazed to find out the networks of churches that really want to get involved in the ministry. A lot of them are already involved in women's ministry, but they don't know how to get involved in men's ministry, but not the women's ministry. So to be able to come home and shine a light on that, for a lot of people that, they're like, they want to get involved, but they don't know what to do. And we also have a situation where if you don't want to go to a prison, but you still want to be a part of working with these women, then you can work with them when they come home. We'll make sure that we require you to go in at least once, because you can't get a mentoring certificate without being a TDCJ volunteer. But we want to take you in to introduce them, so they'll see you and you'll see them, and they'll know, oh, when I get out, I could work with Miss So and So or whatever, things like that. Because we really do. We've gone out to Katy, we've gone down to Crosby, anywhere that's close. And if you're in Montgomery County, it's just right over the line. So we're not gonna cut you off because you're not in Harris. But yeah, we're just we've been able to go to conferences and get tables to sell the books. That kind of stuff costs money. You have to have a
Yes.
sign up fee. So just little things like that, like support ourselves, have gas. That's a 3 hour drive up there and a 3 hour drive back. And now that we have two units, we do 2 hours. We split up, do 2 hours at one team does 2 hours over there, and the other team does 2 hours at the other one. So we're spending 4 hours with the women in one day, just two separate units. So it costs money,
Mhm.
especially now with to
With the
go up
gas
there and
prices.
back. And but just being able to give and to take these women to dress for success, because they
Yes.
have a finally got a job interview and they want to look their best, and as a mentor, they'll allow you to, if they need a little watch, you can buy them one. It's a little
Yes.
bit different from the volunteer. We can do things that volunteers cannot do.
And that's awesome
So
that
we're
you
blessed.
do that. Because you also work with ladies who may have not been at the Marlin unit, but now are in the free world, as we say, in society
Yes.
again, and you assist them in mentoring and just getting re-entering back into society.
Exactly. It's okay if you're not you don't have to be incarcerated for us to help you. You could be a young lady that maybe just coming off the streets and you're in treatment now and you need our support. We'll do everything to help walk you through that process. We're all in recovery, so we could just get around you. And we do a lot of praying, sister. We do a lot of
Mm,
praying for the ladies that we work with, because it's a little tough being out there and
yes,
trying
it
to
is.
transition to a new lifestyle where you don't really trust anybody, or you really don't know who you should listen to. You're vulnerable and
Hmm.
things like that. And then, all the attitudes. Sometimes we have to put up with in the world with attitudes, and we haven't had, maybe some people haven't had the kind of incarceration issues. I've never been incarcerated. I had drug problem. So
Yes,
if you're any kind of way, what's the new word for it? Marginalized
yes, yes.
in any way, then we're there for that.
For
Because you're
that
not
as
a
well.
marginalized person. What you are is a returning citizen. Whether you're returning
Exactly. Returning
from
citizen.
hanging out in the motel too long, or whether you're returning from incarceration, or just trying to get your feet on the ground, we're there for you. And I'm
Awesome.
working with a young lady right now. She's a real blessing to my life. And she
Mm.
just had CPS in her life and she needed somebody to support her. So, we're open. It's in the company of my sisters, and we learn better from one another anyway.
Yes, we
So
do. We do better
yeah.
together in anything. So I want
Yes.
to wrap it up now and just allow you to share how can we purchase the book and how can we find you or even become a partner with in the company of my sisters.
Well, I sell the books on Cash App, and it's the $ all caps ICOMS, which stands for in the company of my sisters, 65. So capital ICOMS 65 is how you can purchase the book. Or you can call me if you need to make any other kind of arrangements. Am I allowed to give my number?
You yes, I'm going to actually put it
Okay.
in. I'm typing as you're speaking. So
Oh,
what
okay.
is your phone number?
It's 346-357-8723.
Okay.
and that's my number. I do
Okay.
deliver. I've done a lot of delivering. I do shipping. The books are $20 each, but you can get two for 35.
So
And
20 for one book
uh-huh,
and for two books.
you can get two books for 35,
Okay, for
and
35.
then you can actually get five books for 75.
All right. I just want
So the
everyone
more you buy, the best,
to
and people give them for gifts. Last
yeah,
Christmas we had a good run on books because people were giving them out to friends for Christmas gifts and things like that. So
that is so
if you got
good.
it,
So we all have an opportunity to sow and to pour into someone else's life by purchasing the book that has a great testimony and a great journey to success, transformation, elevation, and spiritual maturity, and so much more, so much more, so much more. In closing, would you like to give us some wisdom nuggets?
well, I believe that giving. My mother was an avid church worker when I was growing up, and she taught me how to give from the heart
Hmm.
with no strings attached. And I think
Yes.
the more that you can show them that you love them, then the better chance they have of spreading that love once
Hmm.
they tap into, like I talked about, tapping into your own brilliance in that
Yes.
spiritual maturity chapter.
Yes.
Once you tap into your God given
Come on.
purpose for being on this earth, there's nothing that can hold you back.
Absolutely
And
nothing.
I'm not afraid to give because, like I used to say when I was working, I could tell you everything I know, but you still can't do it like I do it. So I'm not worried about that.
Come on.
I'm
Come
not a
on.
person that's
Woo.
worried about you gonna
Love that
steal
one.
my thunder because I don't have thunder. God gets the thunder. So I just give from my heart, and I do what I can do, and then the blessings they just seem to flow because I've never had to be without. Like my son said, my father has never left me. My heavenly father has never
Mm,
left me without, even in my worst time. So,
yes.
I just want to encourage everybody to get the book,
Mhm.
enjoy it. I think you will, the way that I wrote it. I'm starting on my volume 2 of my
Come
paradigm
on, volume two.
experience. And I'm writing about it. It's going to be a little different, but I'm writing about it
Yes.
too. So, yeah.
Again, thank you for coming on. I am so honored to allow the Holy Spirit to use me to have heard his voice after you gave me the book. It was like, yes, I see why there was a connection of love. And I see the works that you're doing. It is my pleasure that now you're my friend. So
Thank you.
thank you so much for being a servant of God. Thanks for coming on a Simply Free Little Talk. Remember to purchase her book. It's also how can we also find the book? So it's on Amazon, correct?
Not yet.
I get. Oh, I'm speaking.
Not
I'm
yet.
prophesying.
You prophesying, girl. Not yet. We really did this first book,
Yes,
like
I love it.
raw,
All
but I have
right,
a
that's
wonderful
good.
publisher. She's helped me
Mm,
tremendously. I had
yes,
never published anything other than a poem.
yes.
So she's a wonderful lady. And if anybody wants to know about getting a book published, I would
Mhm.
she's one of our African American queens, and she's only in her 30s, so I
Oh, that's
recommend her
good.
highly.
Well,
Yeah.
they have your number. I've placed it in the comments on all of the social media sites that that's being broadcast right now. So people
Okay.
can reach out to you. They can find you on Facebook. And I'm encouraging everyone, please sow into this amazing ministry because she is selfless. She is selfless, but she loves to help others. So and that was her vow. Her vow was she was going to help anyone who was addicted. And you just heard it today. If it's a lady that's in transition and needs some help, she's here to help you. So thank
Yes.
you. Let's sign off together. Tell the people be blessed. And thank
Be
you for tuning
blessed.
in to Simply Free Little Talk. This is Truth of the Matter. And author Veronica L. Williams has told you the truth of the matter in her book. This book is not just about her, but it is a fundraiser to continue the good work that they're doing in the lives of the women in Marlin, Texas, that are currently incarcerated. But once they get out, and if you know a young lady who's trying to get back on her feet, in the company of my sisters, will work with you. So you have Miss
Yes.
Williams' phone number, you have her name, and you can find her in Facebook. There's a lady said, I purchased one for myself and placed one in my church library. Come on, thank you so much. God bless you, Miss Barbara.
Woo!
Cubs, and anyone else that has contributed to this fine ministry. It's truly kingdom. I thank you. I'm honored and I'm grateful that God gave you this platform so that you can do what you do and that
Thank you so
continue to do the
much.
work that God has called you to. Be blessed, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. Bye. Thank you, Miss Williams. Appreciate you so much, dear.
Bye bye. Thank you, everyone.